What is going on, guys? So today we're going to talk about something that I really haven't talked about much on this channel, and that is warrant officers. I've recently made some videos on enlisted and officer, and I've got a lot of questions about warrant officer. And in this video we're going to cover when you can become a warrant officer, like how you're going to go about that briefly, and then we're going to cover why you would actually want to do that. Now, real briefly, for those of you that are interested, I did add a couple of different shirts to my website, my merch store or whatever. Link is gonna be in the description. It's summertime now, so I had a bunch of like winter stuff and hoodies and things like that. So I'm trying to make a transition into doing a little bit more summer type deal stuff. So I'm still gonna be making some changes to that in the future. And then also, I do still have some coins left over, right? So if you want one of these coins, this is one of my personal coins. $100 or more on the website, and I will personally send you this coin. These things are not the cheapest thing in the world, and it's pretty neat in my opinion. So if you want a second lieutenant coin, this is my actual coin. That is how you're gonna get it. So like I said, I've gotten a lot of requests to do warrant officer stuff, and the reason that I haven't done it is I haven't really encountered that many warrant officers in my military career, and because I haven't made that many videos on it. But in this video, I'm gonna cover the basics on warrant officer, how you're gonna do it, why you're gonna do it, and really just, again, the basics about the whole warrant officer thing. If you didn't know what it is, you're gonna know by the end of this video. Now, the first thing, real quick, a warrant officer is somewhere in between an enlisted soldier and an officer. There's gonna be a couple benefits to becoming a warrant officer, and I'll talk about that later in the video, but the big thing is you kind of get to specialize in a specific job. So you enlist into the military, you really like your job, you become very proficient at your job, you want to go warrant officer. You don't want to become an officer because you're going to get a little bit away from the actual technical skills that you're going to learn and use as an enlisted soldier. You want to continue to use those skills, so you switch over and you become a warrant officer so you can continue to be in that field, and it just helps you stay in your actual career field or your path that you actually enjoy doing. Because even if you stayed enlisted, if you stay in the military long enough, you're going to get kind of away from the actual technical skills that you like to do if you actually really do enjoy your job. So that's really what a warrant officer is. They're kind of just a mix of both enlisted and officer. They kind of do their own thing, right? So a lot of people like the whole warrant officer idea because you just get to do your own thing. You're not necessarily a part of the enlisted soldiers, you're not necessarily an officer, so you get treated just a little bit differently. You kind of get treated like an officer, so it's a nice little middle ground for the two. Now, it does get a little bit tricky whenever you're asking, you know, when can you actually become a warrant officer, but I'll give you guys a gist of it. If you're interested in becoming a warrant officer, I just want to let you guys know you have to enlist first. You cannot join the military as a warrant officer. That's just not how it works. So you're gonna have to go enlisted first, and you're gonna have to be enlisted. The general roundabout number is between 5 and 8 years or so, but you could actually become a warrant officer faster than that, so like 4 years or something. So you could just say 4 to 8 years or so is when you're looking at making the switch to become a warrant officer. The other catch that you're gonna have to do if you want to become a warrant officer is you have to have at least a year left on your enlistment contract. And again, I do want to mention what I'm about to say is a lot of these questions that you might have after this video, because I'm not going to give you guys specifics on the different MOSs of warrant officers, because there's a lot of them, and that would just be a lot of just reading off different requirements and stuff. So talk to your recruiters about this if you are interested in becoming a warrant officer, and you know, asking them some of these different requirements. And I'm sure if they don't know the answer, they can actually find the specific answer for you. But the thing that you have to keep in mind is with those like 4 to 8 years, you're gonna end up being a specialist or like an E6 staff sergeant, right? So you're gonna look around there, or you're gonna be around there. You're gonna probably be a sergeant in E5 before you can actually submit your packet to become a warrant officer. So there are some age requirements for this, kind of similar to officers, but for warrant officer, before you submit that packet, you have to be under the age of 33. So essentially, they don't want people who are at the end of their military career switching over to warrant officer. You should be kind of, you know, after your first contract or so, or at the end of your first contract should be when you're wanting to make this switch. And I do recommend doing that as soon as possible, because there is a nice little pay jump from being an enlisted soldier to going to warrant officer. Remember, it is kind of like a middle ground between enlisted and officers, so the pay is also about the same, right? It's gonna be somewhere in the middle between enlisted and officer. Now, some of the more specific requirements that you're going to need to do in order to become a warrant officer are gonna be specific to your MOS, and that is what I want you guys to ask your recruiters if you are really interested in becoming a warrant officer, because depending on kind of like the branch that you're in, and I believe every branch except for Special Forces has warrant officers. It's like Special Forces, it's something weird with Special Forces, like they don't have them or they have their own. It's weird. But essentially, for most of you out there, you're gonna have warrant officers. And in order to do that, you have to be proficient in your actual career field. You're not just going to be able to become a warrant officer just because you want to. You're actually going to have to be good at your job. Whatever job that you are doing in the Army as an enlisted soldier, you actually have to be proficient at it, and there's going to have to be proof of it, right? So you're going to have to get recommendations from higher. You're going to have to get, you know, your first sergeant and stuff sign off on it and recommend that you become a warrant officer if that's something you want to do, because the packet that you're going to have to submit, which is the how you're going to do this once you meet all those prerequisite requirements, how you're going to do it is you're essentially going to get those letters of recommendations and your first sergeant saying, you know, yes, this person is good to go. Your company commander's, you know, writing and saying that yes, you are good to go. You are proficient at all this stuff, and maybe you have other things that prove that you are good at your job. You'll put together this packet and then you will eventually submit it, and you'll go to a board and there'll be a selection process, and if you get selected, you're good to go. That's basically it in and of a nutshell. You meet the requirements. It's going to be specific to your MOS. You meet the years, the time in service, the age, you know, PT test and all that stuff. You meet those basic requirements you're going to get, then you're going to submit a packet. And in order to submit a packet, you're going to have permission and recommendations from other soldiers, your higher ups, and then you're going to have essentially proof that you are good at your job. And then once you get all that put together in a packet, you're going to submit that packet. It's going to get approved or denied. You're going to go to a selection board, and you're either going to get selected or not. Now that, in a pretty brief and kind of broad nutshell, is how and when you can become a warrant officer. Now again, I'm going to talk about why you should actually do this, because I've talked about enlisted, why you should enlist, and officers, why you should become an officer, and I talked about it a little bit at the beginning of this video. But again, something I do want to mention for you guys: if you enlist in the military, one of the reasons that you want to become a warrant officer, not just because of the pay benefits and you get treated a little bit more like an officer. You know, warrant officers still salute officers, and enlisted soldiers treat warrant officers like officers, if that makes sense. One of the great things about warrant officers is you get to just, for the rest of your military career, be in your actual career field, right? So for me, I really like computers and tech and things like that. So if you're a signal guy, if you're going into the military as a 25 Bravo, which was my old MOS, right? And you just really like that job. You like the 25 Bravo sphere of things, right? You've been enlisted for a while. You've gotten some of your certifications and things like that. And now you don't want to progress in the ranks as an enlisted soldier and then kind of get away, and you're going to be a platoon sergeant. You're not going to do your job quite as much. You're going to become, you know, first sergeant, all these things that are going to take you away from that specific job, and you want to actually continue to do your job, right? Your technical skill that you've learned from the Army. That is one of the reasons you would want to switch over to be a warrant officer. So a quick little note right here that I probably didn't make very clear in the video, so I'm going to add it right now, is that I said that you get to continue to do your technical job. It's not the actual same MOS that you had as if you were enlisted. So for me, for example, I was a 25 Bravo on the enlisted side. If I wanted to switch over to be a warrant officer, I wouldn't stay as a 25 Bravo. Warrant officers have their own specific MOSs. Signal, the branch where 25 Bravo resides, all the different 25 series MOSs, they have 5 different warrant officer like MOSs. There are 5 completely different subject areas, technical skills that the Army needs. So more than likely, whatever enlisted job that you are in, there is a warrant officer MOS that is going to include that, and then you're also going to be proficient and technically skilled at other different areas. But you're not going to get to, let's say for example, my example, be a 25 Bravo and be like, oh, I love being a 25 Bravo, and then want to switch over as a warrant officer and just only be a 25 Bravo. That's not how it works. You'll be like a 255 Alpha or 255 Quebec or Whiskey. I don't even know what they are for warrant officers, because they're a little bit different. But I did want to make that clear. You don't keep the same MOS. You do switch over and change into an entirely different warrant officer MOS. Because when you become a warrant officer, again, you're a little bit different. You're not enlisted, you're not officer, you kind of do your own thing. And warrant officers in the Army, they have very specific skills, and there's different positions throughout the Army that require a very technically proficient person at that job. So officers can't do it because officers, we get kind of like a broad understanding of things. Enlisted soldiers, they can't really do it because they maybe don't have the qualifications or the certifications and all that stuff to actually do the job. So warrant officers are where those people go. So it's basically just you might have a couple other different warrant officers, but there's not going to be that many, which is why they kind of just, you know, they kind of just do their own thing, because it's just you. Maybe you're a CW1, CW2, CW whatever, you're a warrant officer, and you just kind of do your own thing because you have your specific job. That is all you care about. You don't really care about having all these different soldiers underneath you and worrying about what they're doing and everything. So that's a really nice thing, right? So warrant officer, in my opinion, if you don't want to go officer but you don't really want to stay enlisted, obviously you would go warrant officer. And I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning of this video or at all in this video, but it's a little misconception that I had whenever I was first joining into the military, and it's probably a misconception that a lot of people have, is that warrant officers are all pilots. They're all aviation officers. They just deal with aviation pilots, flying Black Hawks, flying whatever, right? Warrant officers are not only aviation, right? So you do have aviation warrant officers, which can be pilots, and they can deal with all the different aviation sphere of stuff. But then you have your technical warrant officers, where they have a technical set of skills, whether it's in any of the branches, right? In any of the branches, you have a technical warrant officer for a specific job. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell of what warrant officers are, how you can be a warrant officer, and why you would actually want to be a warrant officer. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, that'd be awesome. If you check out some more of my videos, hit the subscribe button, that would be even better. If you're not following me on Instagram and Snapchat, make sure you do that if you want to. You don't have to, but if you really want to, you should definitely do it. Just saying. But I hope you guys have an amazing freaking day, and I'll see you later.